Want to see Toast? He's
Oh
laying down.
my God.
Oh, I see Phoebe.
Yeah, she just jumped on the bed. I have a soft blanket over here, so she's
Oh, she's
making
kneading.
biscuits.
She's making biscuits. That's
She's got
cute.
she's got a lot of orders to fill.
She's a production baker.
She is. She's cannot. She like when she gets onto a soft surface like that, like she can't stop.
Yeah, she's like, go, 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 go. I'm on a roll.
What do you think you're doing there? As soon as I said she can't stop, she came over here. Okay, good.
She's like, I'll show you, bitch.
Uh, I
I
thought she
can
was
stop
good.
whenever I want.
I thought she was gonna walk across the table because she's done that before and just walks right on top of my computer. Welcome everyone to aisle 666, your one-stop shop for the internet's weirdest, craziest, kookiest conspiracy theories. I'm one of your hosts, Molly LeGros, and with me as always,
The other host, Haley Clunalisi.
yay, we did that without any sort
Host
of
numero two. Numero tuno.
I think that was like the smoothest that we've ever done that.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And for added fun, Haley has no idea about the conspiracy that I'm going to tell her about tonight.
No. Oh my God, my friend told me today that Kesha has a podcast where she interviews other people about their encounters with like cryptids and celebrities. I was like,
Yes,
oh, Molly should
yes,
listen to that if
yes,
you don't
she
already.
does. I don't. I haven't listened to it, but thank you for reminding me because
Yeah, I was like pop icons and cryptids. That's
yeah.
got Molly written all over it.
Oh shit. Oh my God. I just totally hit the mic
Oh no.
with my knee. Can you
Whoa. So
can you
flexible.
chill?
I don't know if I could do that.
I had a little note about how I was going to do Pizzagate, but then it made me sad
Oh yeah.
because I was like, it's going to be funny.
Yeah. And you're like, oh God, they're among us. I'm so afraid. Is what it
Literally.
really is.
So today's topic, it's another not specifically internet conspiracy. I-
Oh yeah, I forgot you gave me two options. I was like, surprise me. Chef surprise me.
it's a conspiracy theory, but it's not specifically from the internet. It's really old and
Oh wait,
um
I feel like I did choose. I'm sorry, I lied. I kind of know what it
no,
is.
you did, but I was like, well, just who cares? I don't need a
Yeah.
correction. Where am I? Oh, okay. So the original plan was to tell Haley and you all fine listeners at home about the Pizzagate conspiracy of 2016. Basically, after finding out through the DNC staffer research last week that theory was a whole fabrication, WikiLeaks fever dream from Republicans during the 2016 election, I thought the next logical place to go afterwards would be Pizzagate and then QAnon after that. For those who don't know, these are both alt-right territory, and within, I would say, 30 minutes of researching, I was like, yeah, this is actually just depressing. And alt-right individuals also scare me because Pizzagate in particular went so far that a believer of the theory terrorized an actual pizza establishment in DC and ultimately fired a gun inside of it. Because not only do these individuals believe these theories in full, but go the extra step of taking matters into their own hands, which almost always translates to some sort of violence or terror. Literally never anything helpful or logical. And those of us deep in the throes of seasonal affective disorder this winter, aka me, and I don't know if you're also dealing with that, but
Yeah, I feel like I forget until every year and I'm like, God, this sucks.
yeah,
And then I'm like, why is this the shittiest part of my year every year? And yeah,
exactly. So I'm like, those of us deep in the trenches right now probably would
of the
appreciate,
sads.
yeah, probably would appreciate not giving any kind of platform to that absolute nonsense. So anyway, we are today and we're going to talk about people who think that the moon landing was fake. Yay!
Yes. Oh, that's so fun.
Cue the Even Stevens song. We went to the moon.
We went to the moon in 1969.
Not 1970, but a year sooner. And then
Yeah,
what
like,
does she
not-
say? What else she says? Wait, did you watch Even Stevens?
No, that's why I'm like, I can't help you. I'm sorry.
I loved that show. That episode, Ren has the flu and she has this like fever dream on her sick day at home.
Mhm.
And that particular day at school, she had a paper due on the moon landing. And because it's her like fever dream, this turns into a musical episode. It's the only musical episode Even Stevens ever
Yeah,
had.
that's the gateway. Fever dreams are gateways to musicals.
Everyone beware.
Yeah, watch out. Don't get sick if you hate musicals. If you do, get sick all you want.
Yes, just be my guest.
Yeah, lick a toilet seat, like a doorknob. Do whatever you want.
It's your life. I don't
Yeah,
care.
it's your life. I don't care.
But yeah, so it turns into a musical. She has a paper on the moon landing due, but because she was sick, she didn't actually do the paper. And so
Did her subconscious do it for her?
No,
Oh.
no. So like she's having basically a nightmare of like not having done her homework.
Mm.
And like they're like, all right, Ren, it's time for your presentation. And the only thing that happens in this song that I was singing was that she says we went to the moon in 1969. And then she says not 1970, but a year sooner. And then she also says not 1968, but 1 year after. And that's
Yeah,
all
like-
she says the entire song.
She's like, thank you for listening to my presentation on the moon landing and both how math works too.
And then immediately afterwards, her teacher's like, you didn't say anything. And then she gets an F.
I know, I feel like you know Matt Darty, right? You met him a few times.
Yeah, I do.
He like I think once was really, really sick and the paper was due and he didn't remember writing it and he just woke up and it was done. He just didn't read it and handed it in.
He's like, this will be fun.
Yeah, he's like, I'm sure it's something. Yeah, I'm sure I wrote something great.
All right. So now we have context on what we're talking about through the magic of Even Stevens.
Yeah, you're like, let me make this more palatable.
Actually, what I found most interesting about this research was the actual story of the moon landing
Yeah.
and why it even happened. When I started actually looking at people or like what groups who say that it's, fake, when I started actually looking at their reasons, some of them are super confusing, but it's only because I don't know a lot about cameras. So like they're like talking about,
they're talking shop.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't work in the
Precisely.
shop. I don't know.
So I was like, who can dumb this down for me? I watched an episode of Mythbusters.
Oh, nice. They can explain anything to anyone. Those guys.
and they gave me the spark notes on
The spark notes of it all.
Yeah, so with all of that, let us begin. The moon landing in 1969.
Not 1970, but a year sooner.
Actually, the space race is what started that. So there was something called the Sputnik crisis because at this time we are in the Cold War with the Soviet Union. So the Soviet Union sends their artificial satellite Sputnik into space, making them the first ever people to send anything into space.
Yeah, the first entity.
Yeah. And so the USA obviously freaks the fuck out because we're supposed to do everything first.
Yeah, USA.
And it worsens the Cold War for some reason because it's like, no, I wanted to do that. No,
Yeah.
I wanted it. So
why is that antagonistic at all? I don't get-
Because where world leaders go during this time is like, oh, they want to get onto the moon to colonize it and keep all their weapons there. And then
my
they're going to
God.
send one into the US and we're all going to die. And communism somewhere in there too.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this pissing contest triggers the space race.
Yes.
I just love how this is where the idea to obviously like scientists and astronomers and people, you know, actually interested in space, like they have wanted to do this for so long.
Spite is what got us there.
Yes.
That's right.
Exactly.
You're like, no, it's genuinely cool and sweet, and I love nature and the planets I want to respect it. And you're like, yeah, but let's really dump some gasoline on this.
Yeah, because
get her there.
The fucking Soviets are there right now, and I gotta be there.
Yeah.
that is why Eisenhower created NASA. That's why NASA was created.
Damn, I don't think I knew that.
Was because of the space race.
Spite.
That's why I'm like,
back to spite.
And like obviously everyone at NASA is like, finally, there's NASA.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this forever.
But it's like, okay, here you go. Here's NASA. We could have done this for so long. The first project to try to get people into space in general was called Project Mercury, because at this point in the space race, it's like, okay, Russia sent an uncrewed satellite into space. We're gonna send a human. How about that?
For the first try?
Yes, that's what Project Mercury is. They're like,
we will just throw human lives at this until something sticks.
Boots on the moon.
Yeah, boots on the moon.
Boots on the moon.
So, but then, the Soviets jumped the gun on us and send the first man into space on April 12th, 1961.
Oh, shit. Did he go to the moon, though, or just to space?
No, not the moon.
Oh, yeah.
He was just in space.
Floating around.
Yes.
Kicking it.
So a month after that, we did send a human into space. May 5th, 1961, Alan Shepard becomes the first American in space, completing a 15-minute suborbital journey. And then when he comes back down, he receives a congratulatory telephone call from JFK. Why? I mean, obviously that's the fucking president of the United States, but why does that sound like a participation award?
Yeah, you're like, and you get a phone call and not in-person greeting.
Yeah. He's like, good for you. You
good
were the
job.
second.
Yeah. Almost good job. How about that?
It was you looked really cute out
Yeah.
there. So then May 25th, 1961, JFK raises the stakes on the space race and in a speech to the American people says, I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space, and none will be so difficult or expensive to accomplish.
He's like, listen, it's gonna take a lot of energy, a lot of love, and a lot of
dough.
Cash, baby.
I got the dough.
He's like, and I will fund all of it.
And so then Project Apollo is born.
Oh, shit. The turning around really got me. That doesn't convert to audio very well.
I know.
But the turning around and the hair flipping is really, that's what JFK would have wanted. That's what his vision was.
That's the panache that he was going for.
The subtext is panache. That's what he was saying.
So Project Apollo is born. And so this is what I didn't realize. The first spacecraft, so like the spacecraft that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were on, so the guys who did it, was called Apollo 11. Yeah. I did not know that meant there were 10 subsequent Apollo missions.
That was the 11th one.
Yes.
10 preceding Apollo missions. I meant 10 preceding.
So that's why it's called Project Apollo and not Apollo 11.
You're like, this is the first one.
Exactly. So Project Apollo was abruptly halted by the Apollo 1 fire on
I feel like I kind of
January
remember that one.
27th. No, I think I know which one you're thinking of. That's the Challenger explosion.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I feel like there's a lot of fires and explosions.
Yeah, the Challenger. I don't know why they
Is that the one
specifically.
the teachers were on?
Yes,
It was really
yes,
sad.
yes.
Okay,
It's
yeah, that is the
really
one I'm
sad,
thinking.
and for whatever reason, they insist on teaching that in elementary schools.
Yeah, that's why it's seared into my memory.
Yeah, because they were like, "Listen, Krista McAuliffe went
They're like,
into
don't
space,
get on a spaceship, don't get on a plane, don't go anywhere.
and then she didn't come back."
Oh my god, that could be you. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
So yeah, the Apollo 1 fire was on January 27th, 1967, in which astronauts Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger B. Chaffee died. Sorry, boys.
Sorry, guys.
And the subsequent they had to have a subsequent investigation because people died.
Do they think it was Russians or do they think it was incompetence?
I mean,
That's the
probably
question.
a little column A, a little column B.
Yeah. They're like, is it incompetent Russians? Is that who did this? Is that who fucked us?
They need eyes on them now. In October 1968, Apollo 7 evaluated the command module in Earth orbit.
Is that like 7 years later? Is that what you said?
It's the
61 to
seventh mission.
68. But you say 61 and then 68?
Oh, no. They weren't ready to go until 1967. Because,
okay.
obviously there was a lot of machinery and,
right, malfunctions.
Yeah, and, space suits and all the rest of it.
Like a really cool 7-year-long montage.
Yeah, just picture Breakfast Club right now. And don't pay attention to Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger B. Chaffee. It's too sad. Okay, so in October of 1968, Apollo 7 evaluated the command module in Earth orbit, and in December, Apollo 8 tested it in lunar orbit. So these are all without people on them because they put the people on Apollo 1, and as we remember, that did not pan out.
Yeah, they're like, let's not make that mistake again.
Let's send 7 more with no people. See how that works.
Let's
first.
not jinx it.
So then in March of 1969, Apollo 9 put the lunar module through its paces in Earth orbit, and in May, Apollo 10 conducted a dress rehearsal in lunar orbit because remember, Apollo 11 is the big one.
Yeah, you're like, guys, that's the show.
That's what you all came for.
Yeah.
So by July of 1969, which is when Apollo 11 launched, it was ready to go to the moon. Meanwhile, the Soviets were trying to beat the US to return lunar material to the Earth by means of uncrewed probes.
Moon rocks, baby.
They'd be like, we have
got a rock.
Moon dust.
Yeah. Suck it, idiot.
Have you touched the moon yet?
Yeah,
I
don't
have.
think so. You're like, we're still technically, it's a man, or it's more like a moon on a man. Yeah,
the moon touched you.
Yeah. You may be the first one to touch the moon, but the moon touched us first.
So July 13th, which was 3 days before Apollo 11's launch, the Soviets launched Luna 15, which reached lunar orbit before Apollo 11. However, during descent, a malfunction caused Luna 15 to crash.
Oh no, Luna, no.
So the Soviets are out of the game.
Dang. They lost their lead big time.
They did. They very much like that one Patriot Super Bowl where we were behind for however, I forget what. It was the Falcons blew a 20-something point lead for us to win.
I forgot about that. That's probably one of the last few times I watched the Super Bowl.
Yeah, same.
But it was a good one. I was like, damn, this is every game. This is crazy.
I was like, this is entertaining.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, wow, what's gonna happen next? The stakes. The stakes are so high.
All right, anyway, I did not expect to talk about football.
That was I know. I was like, who are you? What's going on?
Me also fucking wearing a Red Sox shirt. What is happening to me?
I know. I've been saying "Go Sox" in an ironic way, and it's getting me into trouble. It's not good.
And you're like, and now suddenly I have the urge to watch a game.
It's so bad. I'm becoming an old man. Like if any actor or someone's like, I'm from Mass, I'm like, dude, go Sox. I'm like, what's happening to me?
Now that the Soviets are out of it, we can meet our.
Wait, can I say one more thing?
Oh, go for it.
Dave and I started watching Survivor. And like
Mm.
the earliest season we could find has Boston Rob on it.
Oh,
and
God.
he just wears a Red Sox hat the whole
Yes.
time, which
And
like,
it gets-
yeah, dude, go Sox.
And it gets like progressively dirtier and dirtier as the season goes on.
It's so crazy. We're like, dude, Boston Rob, I want him to win. He's from here.
I know that guy.
I know that guy, and that's my city, dude.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
No.
I was like, why have we
please.
been saying that a lot recently? And I was like, oh yeah, Boston Rob.
Let's meet our Apollo 11 crew. Ladies and
Well,
gentlemen, welcome to
roll
the
call.
stage. Apollo 11 crew. We got Commander Neil Armstrong.
Oh shit.
Command Module Pilot Michael Collins.
Michael Collins.
And your Lunar Module Pilot Buzz Aldrin.
I was gonna say, you better make a noise. Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz the B movie Aldrin.
Buzz, do you like jazz? Aldrin. What if Jerry
Um,
Seinfeld played him in a reenactment? I don't know if they look
Right.
alike, but
I don't think
No-
they do.
no one would get the correlation except for me. I'm like, Buzz Aldrin, bees, Buzz, B movie, Jerry Seinfeld. It's the natural leap.
Like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything leads back to the B movie, at least
Yeah.
in my world.
In my mind.
Oh, actually funny that I did that grand opening because my next bullet point is the lads were not super close.
They're just like the fucking Eagles, am I right? They all hated each
No,
other by the
literally.
end of it. You're like, what if we took the Eagles and trapped them on a spaceship? And the stakes were really high.
And they weren't able to quit the band. People on the mission asked Armstrong if he wanted to replace Buzz Aldrin because apparently Buzz Aldrin's like difficult to work with. Or he has like a rep. Like he's like the bad boy of NASA.
Whoa, okay. These big greaser vibes. They're like, Buzz, you can't smoke cigarettes in the ship. And he's like, I do what I want.
It's like grease is the word. Shut up.
Yeah, grease is the word.
Neil Armstrong was just like, no, it's fine. Because apparently he's known for being super aloof. So like Neil Armstrong's like the indie love interest of the film.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for framing it like this too. It's making it more understandable for me. I'm like, I'm really getting the idea of these guys. What they're like.
He's like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Remember Me with Robert Pattinson, but it's like quintessential
No.
like indie New York. He's undecided at NYU. He works at the Strand
Oh
bookstore.
God, yeah.
And he falls in desperate love with this girl. It's like a whole So that's Neil Armstrong.
Gotcha.
Smoking on his cigs, you know?
Yeah. Just staring at the ship, like at the Earth, like, ugh, I'm fine. Like, no one talk to me.
I don't like anyone, and I don't
Yeah.
like anyone for no reason.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just thinking, ugh,
Ugh,
God, leave me alone.
I'd rather be by myself.
Yeah,
all
why can't
the
I main
time.
this ship alone?
And Michael Collins confessed that Buzz Aldrin had tried to be friends with him, and he rebuffed him. And I was like, why would you admit to that?
That's crazy.
He's like,
He's
yeah,
like,
that guy wanted to be friends with me.
I'm full up on friends, thanks.
Even though we're gonna go to the moon
I know,
together.
I know, even though I have no option. I have zero.
Even
say
though
in the
we're
matter.
gonna
I might as well be friends with the guy.
we're gonna complete a historic mission
Yeah,
together.
that's insane. He must have really sucked for him to be like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Like,
No, I'm not gonna be friends with you. No, I'm not gonna
Like-
make out with you.
I thought we were gonna go get a drink after work today.
Yeah.
Who said that, Buzz?
Buzz, you're coming in too hot.
Uh,
Try being more like Neil. Try being more like a pensive, aloof asshole
gotta-
like Neil.
You gotta play hard to get, Buzz.
Yeah.
Buzz Aldrin described the crew as amiable strangers. And Neil Armstrong said that was incorrect, but like didn't explain why. I was just like, why do you just have to be contrary with everyone?
Yeah, you're just like, that's not right. I won't tell you what is, but that ain't it.
We're not amiable strangers, but we're not friends either.
Yeah.
We're something that only I know what we are. So then the article on the moon landing that I got most of this information from had a whole section about the design of the insignia of like the official space mission. And I was like, ooh, graphic design. Haley will love.
I'm like, oh, I want to see it.
All right. So do you see this eagle right here?
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, that's wild.
So Michael Collins actually designed that. And
wait, is he the other guy on the ship or no?
Yes, he's the guy who didn't want to be friends with Buzz.
Oh.
He just had to include the eagle. He was like, it's America, so we need the bald eagle.
Yeah, he's like, there's no room for questions here.
And it has to be on the moon because America's on the moon.
Eagles, duh.
Okay, so then someone at NASA also has suggested incorporating an olive branch to symbolize going to the moon in peace.
And he was like, fuck that. How about some flames instead? How about some flames and cocaine?
So he puts I forget where he originally put the olive branch, but it was, I think it was in the eagle's beak. And the design got rejected because everyone at NASA was like, dude, these eagles' talons are so violent looking.
He's like, the olive branch fucking does not even negate the violent, scary talons.
So they were like,
that's just a mixed signal at this point. Pick a direction.
So they were like, all right, put the olive branch in the talons. And that's what they did. So then they had to make a huge decision, which was who's going to be the first guy on that block of cheese.
Oh, no. They didn't like each other before. They're really not gonna like each other now. I just imagine them shoving each other, like trying to get out of the.
They're like, "Fuck you!"
Yeah, we're not gonna do it first.
Neil.
Well, I wonder too, like, because like gravity and stuff. Like, I wonder who would like if somebody. You probably have to step out carefully so that you get your foot up.
Yeah, they're just going
like
in
not
slow
get
motion,
up too high, like really,
just
like lower yourself from the ship onto the thing.
Yeah, like having to be careful not to accidentally kick one of them into oblivion.
Yeah. Or like push it off the step too hard and then go up.
So one of the first versions of the egress checklist had the lunar module pilot exit the spacecraft before the commander, which matched what had been done on different missions where the commander had actually never performed the spacewalk. So just for context, the lunar module pilot is Buzz Aldrin. Okay. And the commander is Neil Armstrong. So one of the first versions had Buzz Aldrin as the first person on the moon before Neil Armstrong.
Gotcha.
Reporters in early 1969 wrote that Buzz Aldrin would be the first man to walk on the moon. And Associate Administrator George Muller told reporters he would be the first as well. So it's words traveling around that Buzz Aldrin's going to be the first guy on the moon, telling us
there's a buzz. That's what you'd say.
There is a buzz about town. There is a buzz about town.
Dave laughed at that one. I can see him.
So then in NASA circles, this conversation starts to change. And then Aldrin heard that Armstrong would actually be the first. And this
like, is this when they're in like traveling to the moon?
No. Can you imagine? They're going to I don't know.
Or they're hearing about it and the like resentment's just building in the ship. They're like, fuck him, I'm gonna be the first one. And when he's like, fuck him, I'm gonna be the first one.
He's like, if he tries to get out of that door before me, I swear to fucking God.
Then Sweet Mike Collins just like doodling fucking aggressive eagles.
He's like, I don't want to walk on the moon.
He's like, it'd be sick if I could have like an eagle fly me on the moon. They're like, Mike, get your head back in reality.
He's He's like, did we bring the eagle?
The mascot. He's like, I am the mascot.
So Aldrin's livid. He attempted to persuade other lunar module pilots that he should be first. And they
he's not. No, he is the lunar module.
yeah,
Buzz
he is. So all
and that's
he's
usually
doing
who goes first.
in previous missions. That's all it is. It's not
Unmanned
as if there's
missions too. So there's not like a protocol yet.
no, there's no rules here.
It's
just
the first time this is happening.
Yeah, it's just in previous missions, the lunar module pilot has gone first. That's literally it.
That's it. He's like, well, I'm a man of tradition, so vote for me to be the first man on the moon. Do I have your vote?
So like low key, I should be the first guy on the fucking moon. That's all I'm saying.
That's all I'm saying. I don't want to fuck with the order of things.
So he like bitches to other lunar module pilots. And they respond cynically about what they perceived as a lobbying campaign.
That's certainly what it sounds like to me.
They were like, why are you doing this?
He's like, no, this isn't about science. It's about me. Clearly. Why the fuck do you think I'm doing this?
They're like, none of us even make this fucking decision, you idiot. Yeah, He's like, yeah, but if you all agree with me, then rise up. Yeah. Because we are lunar module pilots and we are not going to take it anymore. Attempting to resolve interdepartmental conflict. I forget what the guy's first name is, but his last name is Slayton. He tells Buzz Aldrin that Neil Armstrong would be the first since he was the commander. He's like, I can't believe I have to actually sit you down and tell you this, but Neil is the commander.
So yeah, respect that.
So he's gonna be the first. And you'll be the second.
Yeah, and that's cool.
That's still really cool.
You're like, it's the first time you're walking on the moon, so it's the first to you. You can tell people that if you want.
Exactly. And it's just like you're going to the fucking moon.
I know. Yeah, like put it in perspective. Like Jesus Christ.
Like who the fuck cares who takes the first step?
You're one of 3 people that'll have ever done it at that point.
So the decision was announced in a press conference on April 14th, 1969, which I also think is hilarious that they had to have a press conference to be like, so
just so we're all on the same page.
Neil is going first. All right.
You hear that, Buzz? You prick.
I don't want to hear anything else about this. So for decades, Aldrin believes that the final decision was largely driven by the lunar module's hatch location because the astronauts had their spacesuits on. Like all these weird peripheral reasons. And I'm like, no, Buzz, it's because he's the commander. Like, what are you not getting? What are you not getting?
He's like, oh, it must have been this. And they're like, no. Still not the reason. Whatever you want to think, man.
After much hot debate, Neil Armstrong is definitely going to be the first person on the moon. Okay, so now that all the big decisions are made, we are ready to launch on July 16th, 1969. There were 1 million live spectators. Like there was obviously way more than that watching on television, but in person there were more than 1 million people that watched. Crazy. Yeah, that watched Apollo 11 launch. They obviously are traveling for a few days, and then it was like really tumultuous getting even on the moon, because we also have to remember, like, this is the late 60s, early 70s. NASA now obviously is insane with their technology, but this is literally the beginning of NASA.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So there was a lot of mechanical issues when they were, I don't know what the right word is for like driving a rocket ship, but
yeah, I guess, yeah, I don't know, like steering. Yeah. I don't know. Man, yeah.
So when Neil Armstrong and
flying,
all the rest of them, while they're flying, while they're orbiting, navigating.
Yeah, I'm like steering, navigating. There it is. We got there.
We got it. While they're navigating, he just realized that like basically all of their coordinates were off. They were a little bit earlier than they actually were. So like everything that where they thought things were on the moon
was off.
So where
That's not
they
stressful
were
at all.
exactly. So where they were trying to land, they were like, "Oh, can't do that anymore because it's not what we thought it was."
Yeah.
So he finds a clear patch of ground and maneuvers the spacecraft towards it. But then when he was going to the new landing site, he realized that landing site had a crater in it. I was like, aren't there craters everywhere?
Yeah, the whole thing's crater.
And yeah, so then he finally finds a level patch of ground. And on July 20th, 1969, was when they finally it was safe enough for them to, come out of the spacecraft. And Neil Armstrong obviously was the first person to walk on the moon. And he says his famous I just fucked it up.
Like, we all know the line.
You know it.
Do I even have to say it?
He says, I actually do want to say it now.
Yeah, I know. I was like, hold on, go back. You can say it again.
So he says his famous "one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind" line. And he grabs some moon soil and puts it in his pocket for the drive home. And then 19 minutes later was when Buzz got out of the spacecraft. So Neil was on the moon for like 20 minutes by himself.
Dang. Come out here. It's great. And Buzz
he's like, I'm trying.
I
He's just pouting
just
for
sulking.
19 minutes.
He's like, ugh.
Who even cares?
Yeah, it's not even cool anymore.
So that was the moon landing mission, and the Soviet space program actually kind of fizzled out after we went to the moon,
that's sad.
It's sad, but it's also hilarious to me because
they're like the buzzes of the
they're like, never mind.
Second, whatever. What's the point?
Never mind. We were only in it for being antagonists.
Yeah.
So
and moon dust. They're like, how about you just bring us back some dust?
We just wanted some rocks.
Dust and rocks.
Peace out, space.
Now right, we haven't even gotten to the conspiracy part.
Yeah.
That was just background.
Well, honestly, the conspiracy is obviously that a lot of people think that all of that was fake. And that it didn't happen that way. And I found all of that context to be way more interesting. But the most notable claim is that, and I didn't realize, I thought that they were specifically talking about the very first moon landing. So like the Apollo 11 mission.
Yeah.
But people who believe that the moon landing was fake also believe that the subsequent Apollo missions were all
they don't think we've been to the moon.
Okay.
Even now, you think?
No. I don't think now. Okay. I don't think now, because now it's like, well, fucking Jeff Bezos has been there. So
that means anyone can go.
That means we've been there.
Yeah.
I don't know how many Apollo missions there were after that, but between 1969 and 1972, after Apollo 11, there were a bunch of missions afterwards that we, again, went to the moon.
We went to the moon.
And then it's Apollo 13, like the horror movie. Or not the horror movie, but like the sci-fi, like it gets scary.
Yeah. Okay, so people who think that the moon landing was fake, they think all of the Apollo missions were fake. And various groups and individuals have made claims since the mid-70s that NASA and others knowingly misled the public into believing the landings happened by manufacturing, tampering with, or destroying evidence, including photos, tapes, radio and TV transmission, and the actual lunar dust that Neil Armstrong brought back. He was like, look at it. Do you want to touch it?
Yeah.
Basically, it's like they have an answer for everything. It's like the moon dust was manufactured. The pictures were faked. The footage was slowed down, and that's why it looks like they're like walking really slowly.
Oh.
And
you could also someone could just walk slower.
I know.
It's funny,
and it's also when we get into the Mythbusters episode, they explain why they would have been walking like that, and it's like, duh, because it doesn't have an atmosphere, it's a vacuum, and you weigh like 1/6 of your actual weight on the moon. So duh. So an early and influential book about the subject called We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 billion Swindle, was self-published in 1976 by this guy named Bill Casing, who was a former U.S. Navy officer with a Bachelor of Arts in English, with a BA in English. And despite having no knowledge of rockets or technical writing, Casing was hired as a senior technical writer in 1956 by a company called Rocketdyne that built the F1 engines used on the Saturn V rocket.
Wait, so they hired him as you said a technical writer?
Yeah. So I think that means that he's like someone who writes about the company.
Yeah.
He has zero business doing that because he knows nothing about rockets nor technical writing.
Yeah, he's like, I got English. I can write in English.
And they were like, do you want to be our senior technical writer here over at Rocketdyne?
Do you want to head a department?
You who know nothing?
They're like, he got it. He gets it.
He's just cool.
Gets it.
He just gets it. So he served as the head of technical publications at the company's propulsion field laboratory until 1963. And his book is effectively what created the conspiracy theories.
Oh, wow. He kicked it off.
Well, it's because he claims that the chance of a successful crewed landing on the moon was calculated to be at like, I don't know how to read this percentage, 0.17%.
Oh, wow.
0.0017. And that may be true, actually, because they did obviously have a lot of trouble when they were actually up on, like, they knew that it was they're not going up there being like, this isn't risky.
Yeah, what could go wrong? Lots of stuff could go wrong.
Absolutely. I am not going to die.
Yeah. If I keep saying that, then maybe it won't happen. I am totally not gonna die.
So the book claims that it's that least likely to be successful, and that despite close monitoring by the Soviets, it would have been easier for NASA to fake the moon landings than to really go there. Basically, it's like just all this stuff in this book that he just kind of claims is true. And so that's why people who believe that it was fake are like, well, it's in this book.
Yeah, he's like, here's my opinion, the book. And they're like, I believe that.
So then a very prestigious group in 1980, you're gonna love the name of them. They are the Flat Earth Society.
Oh, sick.
They claim that the moon landing was staged with a Disney sponsorship, and it was directed by Stanley Kubrick, and it was based on a script by Arthur C. Clarke, who is like a famous British sci-fi writer. And at first I was like, yeah, okay, was Kubrick even famous then? He was very famous. I thought for some reason his movies were more towards the 80s, but he was huge in the late 60s because of
ton of pull
because of 2001 Space Odyssey. So
right, that makes sense.
It's not unfounded that they would pick Kubrick. But
like, he has more experience than the guy who wrote the book with space movies.
Actually, so. Yeah.
It's a natural choice.
Done a little bit more research.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where we get into the Mythbusters episode, because I was like, Mythbusters, dumb things down for me, please. Because this is where we get into like all the technical stuff with like cameras and
like actually
lenses
like,
and shadows and all the other shit. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, like, I can't disprove this either, actually. God.
Yeah, because I'm like, you're just confusing me with a lot of jargon. Okay, so Mythbusters, the first aspect of the conspiracy they focus on is that one of the pictures from the mission, it shows like two different shadows. So there's
I'm gonna look up some photos. I haven't looked at these since I was in like school.
Yeah, they were actually kind of cool to look at. I was like, oh my god, I remember these in textbooks.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There's a picture that they were trying to recreate. I don't know if it was the actual spacecraft, and then there was just like something underneath it. Basically, there's just like two objects, and they were both casting shadows, and they were on the same plane. And conspiracy theorists were trying to say that the multiple shadows from different points show that there's multiple light sources coming, and that shouldn't be happening if your only light source on the moon is the sun.
Okay.
So Jamie creates a moon set. He recreates what the consistency of lunar dust would be like, and has a little table that he puts it on, and then they make it like scale model objects. Basically, they put the two objects in the same orientation in the picture. And they were using a similar camera that they used in 1969.
Gotcha.
In an enclosed space, and they used this huge, like a light that you would use in production, but just one of them, like a huge one, to kind of simulate the sun. Yeah, so they do all this in enclosed space. They take the picture to see if on the picture there are multiple shadows, and there are. So that part of the myth is busted.
Oh shit.
So then another part of the conspiracy is that they say the footage is fake because some of the stuff that they accomplished during the footage would be quote unquote impossible to do in a vacuum. Their examples of this are there's in the video of them on the moon, when Buzz Aldrin puts the American flag down, the flag itself moves. Conspiracy theorists are like, there's no wind on the moon.
But doesn't he move it? Like the motion from him like putting it into the ground?
Yeah. That's
I
what it
guess,
is.
right?
That's
okay.
what, no,
I
that's
was like,
literally
am I
what
dumb?
it is.
I'm like, is that
No, you're not dumb. Because that's literally what it is. So Cary Grant and Tori of Mythbusters go to a NASA vacuum chamber in Alabama.
Honestly, ooh, how do they test that? That's really cool.
And they set up a rig inside one of the vacuum chambers. So they assemble a replica of the kind of American flag. I feel like we learned this in elementary school. They like put wires in the flag to make it stand up.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Because that wouldn't be possible without those wires. Because there is no wind on the moon.
Yeah. You're like, it's not blowing it straight out.
So they had to put the wire in it. So they assemble a replica of that kind of American flag, and the way that they use these chambers, they have these giant like gloves that it looks like the Bubble Boy.
Yeah.
They literally just use that to plant the flag in the proverbial moon.
The dust. The moon dust.
And see if it moves. And it moved all over the place.
God damn it.
Busted.
Busted again. You busted.
Oh, and then also with the same group, so this episode was split up between Adam and Jamie and Cary Grant and Tori. So also with the vacuum chambers, conspiracy theorists say that the pictures of the footprints on the moon, so like Buzz Aldrin's famous footprint, that couldn't be real because at the beach, for example, you only make a footprint in the sand because the sand itself is moist, so it holds your footprint in place.
Yeah.
Which is true on Earth. Basically, they set up a rig inside one of the vacuum chambers with a real moon boot that they would use to actually go on the moon, and also a simulate of what lunar dust is like. They stamped the boot down, and lo and behold, a footprint was born.
Oh shit. Yeah, why did it work? Like because of the lack of moisture? Like how does that work?
The thing is, like, yeah, there's a lack of moisture, but there's also not anything else either.
Right.
Like there's a lot of different reasons why on drier sand you don't make a lasting footprint. Whether it's wind or like, just the consistency of the sand itself. I did get what they were saying at first, but then I was also like, okay, but everything that happens on the moon kind of just like stays in place,
right.
Like because there's nowhere it can go.
Yeah, there's like no other outside factors changing it.
Yeah.
So then you like become that by doing that. By like
so that's why I was like, sorry guys.
Yeah.
That one's busted too.
Yeah, I'm with the busters on this one.
Busting makes me feel good.
I gotta go with my pals here. Okay, then one of the bigger points that Adam and Jamie did conspiracy theorists also said that the way that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, the way that they walk really slowly on the moon, that was achieved by they were walking normally, but Disney and Kubrick slowed down the film so that it looks like they're walking really slowly.
Yeah, all space-like and whatnot.
So at first, Adam, I guess, just has a replica spacesuit, just to have.
Kicking around.
Just in his arsenal.
Yeah.
So he wore that, and they got this thing called a gravity rig that simulates how heavy you are on the moon. And he was moving around the room, and it proved that you can't move very quickly on the moon.
Yeah, so you probably don't walk normally either.
Yeah.
Because you're so thrown off.
Yeah, but Adam and Jamie were also like, okay, but we're still in an atmospheric location. Like, if we could simulate zero gravity, I would believe it more.
Mm-hmm.
So they did. They went to the same simulation training that they still use for astronauts.
Oh, shit. I was gonna say, what happens to space camp? I was like, when does space camp come into this?
So they went to like a zero gravity environment, and he says
that sounds so fun.
And he says that he felt as though the slow movement was natural. He's like, that's all I could do.
Right.
So that was also busted.
Bustin' makes me feel good.
Busted again.
So all of that too, for some reason, I was like, why does this Mythbusters episode feel a little propaganda-y?
Yeah, like in a way that like it's real, it really happened. Wink.
Just
Trust
like
us.
a little bit, because like NASA was like so involved in that episode, but I'm
Whoa.
also like, good for you guys having those resources available to you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, it's a TV show. I don't trust anything.
Yeah, you're like, trust no one. You're like, it was fake. What's his face? Wrote a good book, actually.
So yeah, it was in a book that it's very not likely that that they're able to do that.
You're like,
so.
I'm being pulled in so many directions.
But then this last point that they did, I was like, okay, you didn't fake that.
You're like, I strayed for but a moment. Mythbusters.
I am so sorry to Adam and Jamie.
I'll never question you again.
So the astronauts in the Apollo missions, they would leave these things called retroreflectors on the moon, which are small little prisms that reflect light all over the place, so that when scientists at NASA, basically, who have high-powered lasers, they can kind of point that at the moon and get information from the moon that way, because the light bounces back to them. So what they decide to do is they're like, if we get a large enough laser to reach the moon, which sounds like a fucking cartoon, but it's possible.
Like, now I think it's fake. You lost me.
No,
Lasers,
but it's possible.
the moon. I know,
because you have to remember, they are working with the resources.
Yeah, that's a
like
sponsorship.
It's not like a laser pointer.
Yeah.
They said it's something like 200 trillion photons, this laser.
Dang.
So basically what they were just doing was like shooting it at the moon to get a reflection back, proving that we were there, because those retroreflectors are there. And they did get a reflection back. So because I was like, okay, tangible shit was left on there. All right.
Got me.
It's busted. It's busted. Yeah. It's
4
busted.
for 4. 4 for 4 busted.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
But yeah, that's all I have on this one.
I wonder more about like people, the individual lives of people who don't believe it, and like other shit they believe.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
because I feel like this
flat
is
Earth society.
This is like one of the biggest ones. Like I feel like that's this is like an OG conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it is. But I repeat, the flat Earth society are major proponents of this theory. So
you're like, that's the other side of the propaganda.
I think
that's the real
that is what we need to be focusing on. All right, so now we are at the do we believe it? Haley, do you think we went to the moon in 1969, not 1970, but a year sooner?
Yes. I know that's shocking for everyone to hear, but I do.
I do.
And I want to believe it, and I do believe it. And not just wanting to believe, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I for sure believe it too, but like for a second when I was watching Mythbusters, because like they
Well,
do
we've
have
been lied to a lot. I feel like recently it's become more apparent. So
Yeah.
I feel like the doubts creep in pretty easily.
Yes, no, seriously. It was just because I was like, because there's parts of the Mythbusters episode where like they have to have scripted it to be like, oh, people believe this. We're going to do this. Like, this is our
Yeah.
experiment, X, Y, and Z. And I remember watching it when I was younger and not clocking like their tone, basically, and how
Yeah.
they were talking. And so, like, now being older and watching it, I'm like, this is not an organic conversation.
Yeah, you're like, hold on.
It's like,
Actually,
I thought you guys were just broing out. on
yeah,
this
what the
show.
hell? I thought you were doing this of your own fruition.
And it was just because of how involved NASA was in this particular episode that I was like, this is a campaign.
And it's sad because it's probably NASA just being like, please believe us, please
or just
believe
like
the science.
NASA also being like incredibly nice and letting them use their facilities for like all these stupid ass tests to
Yeah,
like
they're
prove that
please,
they
like, if this is what it takes for the public to appreciate us, then okay.
then I guess so. Come on in, guys.
We will stoop to their level. This is what needs to be done.
And also at that point, this was season 6 of Mythbusters, so it was pretty popular. So I'm like, everyone's got coin. I guess they have NASA money.
Throwing around some NASA money.
Okay, so
This just makes me want to watch more Mythbusters, to be honest.
honestly, yeah, I was that was the main takeaway that I was like, I'm so
Watch
glad.
more Mythbusters.
I'm so glad I came away from this like rediscovering my love
with
for
a
Mythbusters.
reappreciation for Mythbusters.
Well, goodbye, everyone. This was a lot of fun as always.
Go look at the moon. Go look
Yeah,
at your
go
local
look at the
moon.
moon.
It's all of our moons. It's all the same moon.
You know, be a hot indie boy like Neil Armstrong, and maybe you'll
gaze pensively at the moon.
maybe you'll be a part of an historic mission one day. Maybe you'll be the first person on Jupiter.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe the first person to do something.
Boots on Jupiter 2026.
Boots on Jupes.
Boots on good old Jupe,
Let's
baby.
get the boots on the Jupes.
All right, goodbye.
All right, goodbye.